So the first thing that we need to learn about HTML is the common HTML document structure. So a structure that each and every HTML document need to have. And in this section, we are going to build a website which is our personal blog site. We will build a simple website by just using HTML, so we can learn everything by practicing along with learning. And we will make this website using some image, tags and links, etc. But anyway, let's now finally get to work. And the first thing that we need to do again is to create our project folder. So let's go back to our desktop or to where you are working with your files. Now pause the video here and go back to your desktop and create a project folder. Then I want you to open that project folder in VS Code. After creating your folder, open that folder, then right click, and here you can find the option open with code. Click on it and our folder is successfully opened in VS Code. Now we are going to starting our files that we need to build this website. So to create a new file, click on this new file button. Here we are creating a file for website. So we need to name our file like this. First part is index and last part is .html. After writing its name, click enter and our index.html is successfully created. Now before starting the code, we are going to learn about one of the most important element, which is the heading element. And our heading element look like this. It start off with what's called an opening tag here and it ends with what's called a closing tag. Now if you look closely, the opening and the closing tag actually have one thing that is different, and it's this forward slash right here, and that is what makes this a closing tag. And what goes in between these two tags is the content of that particular HTML element. So in this case, what we are saying we want to do is we want to create a h1 heading, and what the heading is going to contain is these words. This is a heading element. Now very often when you hear me talking about HTML, you will hear me refers to tags and elements, and you will see this on the internet everywhere as well. Well, the tag refers to these bits. Anything that inside an angle bracket, we call these angle bracket is a tag, and they have different names. So I mentioned this one is the opening tag and this one at the end is the closing tag. Now these are the tags. So what an element? So the element is this entire thing that includes the content as well as any opening or closing tag is called element, and these two parts are the tags. So hopefully that will make things a little bit clearer the next time you hear about tags and elements. So now I am going to show you other heading HTML elements which are like h2, h3 and h4, also h5 and h6. So we can write those elements like this, and VS Code will automatically place the closing tag. So now this is our h2 element, and here we can enter any content that we want. Like I am entering, this is my h2 element, and here we have also h3 and h6 elements which we can write like this. This is what the code will look like for all 6 levels of headings. And remember that there is no such things as h7, that does not exist once you have gone to heading 6. That's pretty much the end as defined by the people, and anything that's lower in importance you will start using different type of tag, which will go into a little bit later on. But for everything from 1 through 6, the structure is pretty much the same. You have got an open tag which is h1, and you have got a closing tag that has the corresponding number. Now if you create a tag like this one with an h1 and then you end with a different one like h6, then that's not going to work. Just remember that when you are writing your own code. Now what does this look like? If we were to run this code, this is what we will get. We will get different heading levels by default. They will be styled to have different sizes. So heading 1 being the biggest heading and heading 6 being the smallest heading, as you can see. So this is our heading 1 and this is our heading 6. So you can notice that heading 1 is the biggest heading and heading 2 is smaller and heading 3 is more smaller and so on. We can of course further style this later on, but as soon as we type these headings, it just gives us an indication of our levels to make sure that we are written all our code as intended. So now going to any further, I want to talk about the HTML document structure. Now to create our HTML structure in VS Code, we just press shift and this exclamation mark and then hit enter. So this is our HTML structure and you can see how it's look like. However, to properly learn HTML, we of course need to know how to write all of this structure on your own. And so that should always be the first thing that we will learn in HTML. So we start with an empty page and then the first thing that we need to do is to declare a so-called doc type. And this is what I am talking about. This is called a doc type. So just write the less than symbol, then exclamation mark and then doc type like this. And to see that a VS Code is actually trying to autocomplete this here for us. So let's just write it all by hand so that this code basically sticks in your memory. Okay, so we have to write exclamation mark, doc type, HTML in order to basically tell the browser that this document uses HTML. Next up, we need to create an HTML element. So to create an HTML element, again, we use the less than symbol, then the name of the element, which in this case is HTML. And then we close that. Then press enter and once again you saw VS Code complete this automatically. Now closes that element for us. So it created this closing tag. Now in case you don't want that, you can actually turn off that functionality from the settings. So we have the opening and the closing tag of HTML element. And now as for the content, we will actually put another element inside it. So let's give ourselves some space here. And then inside of the HTML, we want first a head element. So let's write it opening and I will then immediately close that because for now we will not put any content in there. And then inside the HTML, we want first a head element. So let's write opening, then press shift and press greater than. And our tag is immediately closed. So the head and then the body, and I will explain in a second what each of these actually is. So each and every HTML document always need to start with HTML element like this. Then inside of this element, as we need one head element and one body element. And after putting head element, we also need a body element like this. So each and every HTML document always need to start with HTML element. Then inside of this element, as we just put, we need one head element and one body element. Now the head element is basically for things that are not visible in the browser window. So this head will contain the page title, some additional information about the page, link to CSS file or other things. As we go through the course, we will fill this head with all kind of different elements. But for now, all I want to do is to just specify the title. So let's use the title element for that. Press less than symbol. Then here we are going to use title element, which we can use by entering title, and then we will use greater than to close our tag, and this is our title element. So the title is for to what we want to call our page. So here I want to name my page. So now on my page title is blog. As you can see here, the title of my page is changed. So now in the head we are just going to use title, and now the body, and the body is actually for all the elements that will be visible on the page. So all the elements that we see here in the browser will always be inside of the body element. And just to show it to you, instead of leaving it empty, let me put some code here. And now I am using the heading element. So h1 that we used previously, which is like this. And here I am writing the content of our heading element, our first Alright, this is our heading element look likes in the browser. But here you can see this yellow dot in your VS Code. This yellow dot tells us that we forget to save that file. So to save this file, we just have to press Ctrl+S on our keyboard, and you can see this yellow sign is now gone. It's mean our website is saved successfully. So let's give it a save, and you see that now we have to correct indentation. And by indentation, what I mean is that since this head element, for example, is inside the HTML, should have some space here to make that visually obvious. Okay, let's close up this one here, and with this we learned the basic structure of HTML and also about the heading element. So let's just quick review. So every HTML document always need to start with so-called doc type, and so this will let the browser know we are actually using HTML in this file, and all browser will then know that they should use the HTML5 specification to render this HTML. Then we have the HTML element, which is always the parent element of both the head and the body element. So this structure is really always the same in all web pages. We always need to have an HTML element with a head and a body. Now in this situation, all we put in the head is just the title element, but here we can put all kind of other stuff that are not visible or that are not rendered here in this main part of the browser. On the other hand, the content that we actually want to be rendered here should go into the body, and so that's why having this h1 element here that then appears visible on the page. And that's it. That's the basic HTML structure for each and every HTML document that you really need to know. That's it for today's video. I hope you like the video. If you like the video, click on like button, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel, click on subscribe button. And if you want to learn this course, don't forget to bookmark this playlist if you want to learn more about web development. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video.